James Dorsey. He is a senior fellow at Singapore's Middle East Institute, and he joins me now from Singapore. Thanks very much for being with us, James. So let me ask you, first of all, what do you make of this ceasefire proposal from Hamas, and does it form the basis of something that could work, of a lasting ceasefire?
Fundamentally, the Hamas proposal is a return to the original proposal that was made by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt several weeks ago, which essentially was roughly a 3-month ceasefire. In the first phase, a release of or exchange of hostages, primarily women, men, the elderly, and in the second phase, the negotiation of a permanent ceasefire and the release of the remaining hostages. Now, what Hamas has done is, on the one hand, it's made a significant concession, or two significant concessions. One is that it has lowered the rate of the number of Palestinians that should be Palestinians in Israeli prisons that should be exchanged for each hostage. We're now talking about 700 to 1,000 instead of up to 10 Palestinians for every hostage. And it has included what it called female recruits, which is a reference presumably to women Israeli soldiers in Hamas captivity. The problem, however, is, or the problematic part of it is, that it wants in the first stage of the release, so among the 700 to 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, that will include at least 100 Palestinians who have committed, who are sentenced to long-term life sentences in Israeli prisons. And that obviously is probably going to be a stumbling block.
Yeah, the Israeli government has called the current demands by Hamas ridiculous. So it would appear, wouldn't it, at this point, that the prospects for any lasting ceasefire are pretty remote at this point?
Well, it called earlier Hamas proposals ridiculous. At this point, it has called, in an initial response to the latest Hamas plan, it has said that they were unrealistic. From the Israeli point of view, there are three issues. One is, of course, that Israel does not want a permanent ceasefire. It wants the right to continue the war following the prisoner exchange. Second of all, Israel has demanded from Hamas a list of names of the hostages still being held by Hamas, which are believed to be 136, including a fair number of bodies of captives that were killed in the war in Gaza, and of course the issue of releasing Palestinian prisoners who have been sentenced to life in prison for murder or whatever else, which would really potentially could lead to the demise of the Israeli government because of opposition by the hardline ultra-nationalists and ultra-conservatives.
Now, Israel has made, or at least Prime Minister Netanyahu has made no secret of the fact that he wants to continue this conflict with the land assault on Rafah to, in his words, completely destroy Hamas. Is that even possible at this point? Because there is this idea, isn't it, that you can't really destroy an idea, because Hamas is not just a group. It is a whole movement. It is a whole idea.
Well, it's not just the issue of, which has been clear from the beginning, that you cannot destroy an idea. But if you look at this week's U.S. intelligence community's annual threat assessment, they actually go a step further. And the intelligence community says that one should expect low-level Hamas resistance, armed resistance to the Israelis for years to come. And it furthermore says that it's unlikely that Israel will be able to destroy the tunnel network underneath Gaza. I think the significance of Rafah is, alongside Khan Yunis, that Israel really has, beyond the enormous destruction caused by the war, has nothing to show in terms of the achievement of its war aims. It hasn't been able to kill any of the really top Hamas leadership. And it's that leadership, including Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader in Gaza. It's it's without that, it will be very difficult for Israel to claim that it actually has achieved at least some of its goals.
Good to get your perspective, James Dorsey. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.